Welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know myself, my name is Ben Borky. I am the co-founder of a company called Real Growth, and we're a company that specializes in marketing and helping agents build their pipeline, build their database. I'm also fortunate enough to be the co-founder of a company called Nurture, which is a software tool that helps agents with their prospecting, helping them letting them know who they should be talking to and allowing them to communicate with them via text message. Today, lucky enough, we've been joined by Sam McIntyre. For those of you not know Sam, I'm sure you do. That's why you're probably on this webinar. But Sam's has been a successful agent, franchise owner, speaker, and trainer. And Sam, you've been in the industry now for a number of years, so you're a wealth of information, and it's great to have you on this webinar today. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ben, and hopefully we can bring some fire and add some value. And by the end of the call, people go, oh, he's not a struggling musician. He actually brings some value in the real estate industry and knows what he's talking about. So let's do it, man.
Let's dive into it. Hey, but before we do, we're going to cover these 5 key tools for real estate. But do you mind, before we dive into it, sharing briefly a little bit about your journey in real estate? Like, when did you first get started? What inspired you to get into the real estate space, and what's that journey been like since you first got started to where you are now?
Yeah, so I started in 2012 as a real estate agent at a brand new company, which was like a new disruptor in the industry. I started in real estate because the earnings were uncapped from being a really high-performing salesperson inside of other industries and being limited in my earning potential. So I saw real estate as something that was fair. You put in the work and you get out the reward, and the earnings were uncapped. So that was sort of like a fair industry to be in, I guess. I wanted to be a real estate agent for a long time, but I guess I was nervous of the perception of the industry and of agents. And when I told my mum, she said, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You're not a shark, what are you doing real estate for?" And she'll never live that one down. But that's why I sort of started to come in, be rewarded fairly. Started a brand new agency as a brand new agent, the only agent at the agency. And within 6 months, I was holding 35 current listings in my very competitive marketplace as the youngest agent in the area by about 20 years. So hustled really hard, worked some strategies to my advantage that I thought aligned to myself and that were maybe innovative at the time, but were sort of just making sense for me. And my journey was salesperson. Maybe 6 to 9 months later, I was a franchise owner of a new brand. I bought 2 more franchises either side of my current franchise. I grew my first franchise to be the largest business in the area within 12 months. We were doing about double the number of sales as the nearest competitor with half the number of salespeople. So we grew pretty well. And then it became a size where my sort of franchises were bigger and more successful than the parent franchise that I worked for. And then that allowed me to buy that business. So there was 3 of us, 3 owners, equal shareholders, and I bought that and I grew that business across about 8 years before exiting and starting a new model.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk about that new model at the end as well for anyone who might be interested as well.
Yeah, sure.
To share that as well. But let's kind of dive into it. Some there might be a few people on this webinar who actually remember Sam and I did a webinar way back in 2020, and it was a similar type of webinar where we talked about some key tools that agents should be using in real estate. Now I'm looking here at these 5 key tools, and things have evolved, technology's changing, and there's probably time for a bit of an update. So just starting from, I guess, the top one, which is probably one of the most recent ones, which is ChatGPT. Sam, tell me, how do you see agents, or how can agents be utilizing the power of ChatGPT in their business? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How do you see this being a great tool for them?
Yeah, sure. I think when you say a lot has changed, I think really only ChatGPT has changed. A lot of these things aren't groundbreaking outside of that ChatGPT's been around for a year, but everything else has been that I'm going to talk about has been around for a long time. And when I think about the tools, not a lot's changed, and still agent adoption is low on a lot of these things. But let's go with ChatGPT, and intentionally it's at the top because I think, it is new and it is groundbreaking and there's a lot of buzz around it. I still think that the agent adoption is very low on this, even with the international hype. We've got marketing and we've got all this PR around ChatGPT, and it's still low. So other tools that sort of stand no chance with the PR that something like ChatGPT gets, and still a low uptake. What chance do all these other tools have of getting uptake from agents? We are slow. We are behind, I think. But anyway, ChatGPT is a complete game changer, and there's nothing like amazingly revolutionary in here that it will do that you couldn't do yourself. The difference is it's going to make it faster and easier to do those things. So I was thinking about tools, and a lot of the things that you can do inside of ChatGPT could be considered different tools. So for example, there's never been a better or easier time to create a lead magnet. And for those of you who don't know what a lead magnet is, it's something that you use as a magnet to attract getting clients' email addresses or contact phone numbers. So an example of a lead magnet might be, here's the 5 key things that you need to know when selling your house in 2024, or here's what you need to know about the new motorway development going in your area, or what are the things that I should be focusing on to prepare my home for sale. So, traditionally before ChatGPT, you'd have to write this. You'd have to think about this. You'd have to create it from scratch. And for a busy agent doing a lot of volume, they might just not find a spare 5 hours to get their head in the game of layout, content, putting it all together and then getting it branded. But now we could go into ChatGPT and say, I'm a real estate agent in this area, this is what I want you to write for me. 5 key things that sellers need to know in 2024 when selling their house. And boom, you've got a 10-page lead magnet that you can then just get branded by somebody, and all of a sudden you can use that in your marketing to attract people to download the thing, and then you've got their email address and you know that they're a homeowner, you know that they're thinking about selling, and then you can nurture those. So things like lead magnets, things like email newsletters, they've never been easier to create. ChatGPT, I'm a real estate agent in this area. I want you to create me a template for a regular email newsletter that I send out every 2 weeks. I want you to cover this, this, and this. Create me a easily repeatable newsletter. And you can say, I'm a fan of Gary Vee as a marketer. Make it in the tone of Gary Vee or a style that Gary Vee would create. And then bang, it's done for you. It's just so amazingly easy and efficient to do these things now that before we were probably too busy to actually do, or we needed EAs or support or marketing agencies to help out with those things. So lead magnets, email newsletters, creating quizzes about your local area for engagement, writing social posts and creating campaigns, updating your outdated real estate profiles. This is the pot calling the kettle black, because look at my photo from last time that we spoke. But, like the content in your LinkedIn bio, your Trade Me Real Estate, One Roof, probably outdated. It probably was written in 5 minutes because it needed to be done for something. Now we can do those to an extremely high level in minutes. I did something recently, and a key thing for you guys to know is if you haven't got custom instructions set up on your ChatGPT profile, you need to. So if you find your name down the bottom left-hand side and you hover over it, there'll be a few things come up, settings and other things. You need to add the custom instructions to make your user experience 10 or 100 times better on ChatGPT. You can get ChatGPT to ask you the questions that you should answer to write your custom instructions, which is what I did. Hey, ChatGPT, I want to add custom instructions on your system. What are the questions you need to ask me to write the best custom instructions that I can load into your system? And then you answer those. Basically, the custom instructions gives you or gives ChatGPT a background of who you are, what you do, your key selling points, anything that you want it to reference or not reference, and all of those sorts of things. So when you ask it to do things, you don't have to forever go, I'm a real estate salesperson selling houses in Kapiti Coast, and this is what I do, and this is my point of difference. It's already there. So when you have a chat with it, it already knows. So it's writing answers based on that. So once it's in there, creating a marketing plan or a prospecting plan, these are things that we should have that we don't normally have. I worked with hundreds of agents, coached and mentored and recruited. Not many people have basic plans. Not many people treat this like a business. If you did treat it like a business, you'd have some sort of yearly goals. You'd have a marketing plan. You'd have a prospecting plan. ChatGPT now can write this for you. ChatGPT, I'm a real estate agent. At the moment, I'm selling 18 houses at an average house price of $750,000, charging on average 2.95%. I want to increase my performance next year by 50%. What are some ideas that you have for me that I should be doing to be able to achieve 50% growth? Okay, I like number 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7 that you've given me. Can you help put that into a marketing plan and a prospecting plan for me in a table, in a calendar? Bang, done. Like,
it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think if you haven't used, I'm sure everyone's had to play around with it, but if they haven't used ChatGPT, I think the best way to start is just playing around with it, isn't it?
And if you want to go next level now, they've rolled out GPTs, which are basically, if I try and dumb this down a little bit, you can build your own robot within ChatGPT for certain functions. So, for example, I built one recently. We've got a lot of people in our business expanding their teams at the moment, growing super teams and adding certain functions into their team so they can go and super boost their growth and provide better service and all those sorts of things. So rather than sending people a whole bunch of information every time and getting them to read it and then having a session with them to be able to determine what might be best for them, I built a robot called a GPT, and I called it Only Team Builder GPT. And I dropped a whole lot of information in there via PDF or Word document. So if you think about famous coaches around, well-known coaches, Tom Panos, Real Estate Gym, he's got a section on effective business units or teams. So as an example, I could go and download all of those documents and I could drop that into my Team Builder GPT, and it will read all of that information, understand all of that information, and I'll say, GPT, I want you to be a high-performance real estate coach that's dealing with high-performing real estate salespeople. I want you to coach them on building teams and what roles they might want to bring in what order, and creating a plan for that and looking at remuneration and all those sorts of things. So I built this robot that our team now can just go in and say, here's my current situation. I sell 50 houses. I'm doing this much in commissions. I've got myself a PA and a whatever else. What do you think I should add next? And how do you think my team should look as I grow? And it will just go, here's what I think. And here's the order in which you should do it. And okay, so how much should I pay that sort of role? And they'll be like, well, you can go salary and commission, or you could go this or that. And it will give them everything. So that's not so applicable to a real estate salesperson that might be listening today. But you could build a copywriting GPT, right? And it could just write copy exactly how you want it to. I joked with one of our team who says that they love writing copy and that they will never use ChatGPT to write it because they're better than a robot. I said, I'm going to make you a GPT with your name, with all of your past copy, all of your past scripts in there, and say where you work, what you sell, what you specialize in, give them your profile, and it will write copy exactly the same as you, and no one will know the difference. You won't even know the difference. So if you want to go next level, there's these GPTs that you can, and I just think, I can't code. I'm not a tech expert. You can create a robot in 3 minutes. It's a computer create it. It's unbelievable.
I think anyone who hasn't, have a play around with it. I'm looking at building a GPT to write video scripts for market update videos, basically. So pulling in sales stats from the local area, and then, doing suburb update videos, so you can create it for anything. And we could spend a whole webinar on this, Dan, on just ChatGPT. But let's move on. Now, one of the key things you wanted to talk about was Google. Now, there's so many, I guess, tools within the Google ecosystem: Google Search, Google Display Ads, Google My Business. When you talk about Google, can you give us a bit more of an overview of how agents are using Google and what areas?
Yeah, I think let's bring it back a little bit. So there are a whole lot of tools in the Google suite, but let's just focus on 3 today. And these 3 aren't revolutionary, and I've spoken about them before, and they've been around for a long time. But I still think that they've got legs, so I still think it's worth a reminder and mentioning it. I heard something the other day: a politician has to mention the same thing 56 times before people start hearing it. So let's go Google, and some of these things are basic. So I've got Google reviews, which I think is still valid. We've got a whole bunch of review platforms, right? People can review you on Facebook. They can review you on Rate My Agent. They can review you on Google. I think a whole lot of people miss the boat on Rate My Agent, and that early adopter Rate My Agent opportunity is sort of fading away a little with the mass adoption of it. So I look at, how do I stand out and be different? If everybody else is on Rate My Agent and I've missed the boat on that, maybe I'm not the top agent in my area. Maybe I'm not the top agent in my suburb, and that's sort of out of reach for me. What space can I play in and own? And Google reviews could be one, because while every other agent in your area is getting Rate My Agent reviews, you feel awkward asking for one on Google, one on Rate My Agent, one on Facebook. It's sort of polite to ask for one, and even then you feel like a bit of a hassle. So your one could be Google reviews, and very quickly you could accumulate the most Google reviews out of any real estate agent in your area, which gives you something to hang your hat on a little bit in your marketing. You can be the top rated, the top reviewed agent in your area, asterisks, on Google reviews. And that's something strong, I think, that you can promote instead of just being generic and boring like everybody else. So I think while everybody else is going one way, the way I look at it is go the other way and play in a space that I can easily win, so it's not hard. So gathering those and becoming number one in your area for the number of reviews and the star rating would be an easy one. That's number one.
Get started would be to set up a Google My Business profile if they haven't got one already. That's correct.
Google My Business is my second on my list. Maybe it should have been first in no particular order. Google My Business, for those who don't know, is a free profile on Google. You should have it. Everybody should have it. And basically, if you think to your last Google search on desktop, as an example, for you searched mechanic in my area, you probably find that a map comes up and then there's a whole list of mechanics down the side. To be one of those ones down the side, you need a Google My Business page. Sometimes you search something and then there's all the search results and then there's something on the side. That's the Google My Business profile. You can upload photos to it, videos to it. You can collect reviews on it. And it's a free thing to have out in the ether that is promoting you while you're out doing other things. Again, I'm going for efficiency. I'm going for ease myself. And that's why we'll get to talking about, that's why Nurture made my list. And it's not to plug you. It's for ease and convenience and playing where other people aren't playing. So together reviews, obviously they fall onto your Google My Business profile, and anyone can go on there and see that. I just think it's a no-brainer to have when someone searches real estate agent, Kapiti Coast, you want to be on the list.
You need to be on the shopping list for sure.
Third for Google is Google AdWords. And again, these aren't new, but my estimate based on my anecdotal research would be that maybe 1% to 2% of New Zealand real estate agents would have Google AdWords running at the moment. And again, I'm going for ease and convenience and effectiveness, honestly. Like this door knocking and this cold calling and this old school stuff, yeah, it can work for people. Anything can work for people if you do it consistently. But I'm going, what's the easiest thing that I can do? What's the most effective thing that I can do? And I'm going, Facebook ads and all those things serve a purpose. There's brand awareness, It's being in front of people. Google AdWords is going straight down the barrel and being targeted. Google AdWords is when somebody searches sell my house, Kapiti Coast, sell my house, Parapara Umu, sell my house, whatever, you're showing up at the top with a Google ad. Google Ads is going, Ben, you're my biggest competitor in this town. You don't do Google Ads. So when someone searches your name, I've bought your name and I show up above you. Google Ads is going, there's Harcourts and Professionals and Ray White and Bailey's and all these agencies in my area. I want to go when somebody searches Harcourts, Sam McIntyre shows up at the top or my agency shows up at the top. I just think it's a no-brainer. You only pay per click, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the worst thing that was to happen is that you placed those and you showed up again up above Ben Hawkey and somebody didn't click it. Still they're seeing Sam McIntyre, which is a positive to me, I think.
100%. And I actually did a full video on this 2 days ago on Google search. And one of the biggest misconceptions I think around Google search, if I just jump in briefly here, is that people think it's really expensive and it's very competitive. And in some ways they are right. It is competitive because if they are going to compete on generic search terms like home buying or, buying a property in, they're competing against, the big property portal websites who are spending thousands of dollars a day to try and be at the top of the list. So like Sam said, you need to be hyper targeted and hyper local with the search terms that you're using. So, top agent in Parapara Umu might be something that you want to compete on, or maybe a competitor's agent's name, someone puts in Ben Hawkey and you appear above them if they're, the top agent. So Google search is very effective, but you just need to be careful on the keywords that you bid on, because if you just compete on generic words, your budget will go very quickly. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that because it was top of mind with me because I was doing a video on it yesterday.
Yeah, and I would say that the average person probably needs to engage a marketer to do it well. But you could Google it and figure it out yourself, but your time's valuable. So I just find someone and say, hey, I want you to run Google Ads for me. Here's my competitors. Here's my key terms that I want you to, again, ChatGPT. I'm a real estate agent selling houses here. I want to do some Google AdWords. What questions do you need to ask me so I give you the best answers or get the best answers to give to my marketing team? And the cost, yeah, totally. Like if I'm buying your name, Ben, and you're not buying your name, I'm probably paying 50 to 60 cents every time somebody clicks on my ad that's above your name, which is like, it's priceless, that.
Yeah, 100%. And just to give people some numbers from a marketing point of view, if you're in Auckland or Christchurch or Wellington or big cities, where it is a bit more competitive, the cost to generate an appraisal lead for a Google search right now is around $30 to $40 per lead. So just to give you an idea there, if you're in a town like Kapiti or Timaru or, Invercargill or Ashburton, this cost per lead will be a lot lower because it's a less competitive. But just to give you an idea, if you can invest $30 to $40, that's typically going to get you around about one appraisal lead. So just on that. Is there anything else on Google, Sam, before we move on to the next one, which is around this?
No, I think just keep it simple and don't overwhelm. That's the best way.
Yeah, perfect. So this one's not really a physical tool as such, but we're talking about positioning and creating a point of difference. What do you mean here, Sam, in terms of the importance of creating a point of difference? Why is this so important?
Yeah, I'll put this in here, and it might have been a bit of a curveball because it's not a physical tool or a tech tool, and people come around for these shiny things. But I think this is quite possibly the most important thing that you could have or do. And I'll say it's in your tool belt. It's something in your tool belt to use rather than a physical tool. And this is something that can potentially take you from average to amazing quickly. This is something that can take you from a near new agent to a top agent in your town quickly. And I think for me, and there wasn't anything remarkable about me. I had a good, strong sales track record and had a extremely high work ethic. But for me, the acceleration in my career was a point of difference. And that can look a whole lot of different ways. And I think it should be tailored to the person and what they're interested in, or what their strengths are, or what they could offer in their area that would be easier for them to do. I think like barrier of least resistance, creating a point of difference that's sort of easy to come to market. Something is better than nothing. So what do I mean by a point of difference? I mean a strong, tangible something that you can do, say, or offer that nobody else in your town is. And, we've got all of your companies will say that they provide a point of difference. We've got Harcourt's, Reader's Digest, I don't know, like a 92-year-old still reading that, most trusted, whatever, Canstar, something or other. We're the largest in the area, we're boutique, we're whatever. All the agencies will say that they've got something. My personal opinion is that none of those things are overly strong. So you go in and there's something that you talk about in your appraisal and they sort of support you and back you up. But what are you doing or promising or offering that nobody else is that strong, that adds value to a house seller? And if you want to prompt for figuring out what one of these things could be, Tom Ferry uses 4 really good words for this. What's the promise, an offer, a claim, or a guarantee that you can make? A promise, an offer, a claim, or a guarantee. They're 4 great headings to give you a starting point. Point of difference could be fee. Point of difference could be specializing in a certain property. Point of difference could be guaranteeing that the house will be sold in a period of time, otherwise you half your fee or you do something. Point of difference could be pre-sale renovations. They could be any number of different things that you're only limited by your imagination. It could be your open home experience is outrageous. It's like 10 times better than anybody else in town. And when people go shopping, they go, oh, that agent's way better than everybody else. That was something different. Could be any number of different things. And we're working with people who are creating amazing ones of these at the moment. We've got one that is basically funding, consulting, and project managing pre-sale renovations. And the seller pays on settlement. Like, that's strong. I come in as an agent and I go, you know what will help your house sell faster and for more money? Our pre-sale renovation service. I think if we redo the curtains here, we give the room a lick of paint and we do a little bit of landscaping on the outside, you could possibly sell for $40,000, $50,000 more than if it's as it is now. I've got a service where we'll pay for all of that, we'll manage all of that, and you just pay for it at settlement. How does that sound? Oh, where do I sign?
Yeah, that sounds great. But makes complete sense as well. So and if you didn't have those specialties, you could partner up with maybe an interior designer or some other local businesses to make that work potentially as well, right?
Totally. So this particular person who's rolling that out in January, they have hired a dedicated person who will be the project manager. That person's gone and created the supplier relationships with everybody in town. And then we'll market that service as something. It's going to be called, so the brand that's doing it is Move, and it's going to be Move Makeover. And that's just going to be like an amazing service that all of a sudden in a crowded marketplace full of sameness, they're like, hey, we got this thing. Come over here, give us a ring, at least get us in the door. And how could you refuse something like that?
It just, at the very least, even if people don't take you up on it, you're positioning yourself as different, aren't you?
100%. So that's what I'm getting at as a point of difference. And I think everybody should have one. You should also have a personal brand, I believe. It would be bad for me to not push that in a company that offers that service. But personal brand, so you can stand out from I think like within the traditional office, often your biggest competitors are inside that office. So how do you actually stand out compared to those people to get the call? So if someone's going, I want Harcourt's, Ray White and Bailey's, how do you be that Harcourt's agent that gets the call when there's 20 others in the office all doing the same thing and you've only got your face on a sign here and there? Like, how do you get that brand profile awareness out there to be able to get that call if you're not the top agent already?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And so goes back to that whole thing is positioning yourself within your own agency as well.
Yeah. So I think that's like a a huge accelerant to success. That if there's one thing that comes out of today that you want to propel your career forward by 2 or 3 years of hard grind, go for a strong point of difference, not some flimsy thing. Like, go for something that, put yourself in the seller's shoes and go, yeah, that adds value to me as a seller.
Yeah.
I would call you for that, whether it's a guarantee or an offer or something.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. It's got my mind spinning with all these different ideas that agents can do now. Moving on to something that I've actually not heard of before, so I'm really intrigued to know. What is automated voicemail processing?
Okay, so again, I've been banging on about this probably since the technology became available and was usable. So if you want to look up some companies, there's a company in Australia called Tricall. There's a company out of the US that is called Sly Broadcast, but you have to find the international section if you're using that one. And again, I might seem lazy, but I would call it smart. Like, I just don't want to make, and I've never made a cold call or never knocked the door, by the way. I just don't want to do it. People don't want to receive my cold call, I don't think, because I don't want to receive them. I don't want to receive a normal call, let alone a cold call. And people don't want to be interrupted having their doors knocked. So, and it's not time efficient. You're doing like 100 cold calls and it's taking you a whole day. And what are you getting out of it? You might be good at that and you might be consistent at that and go do it. But this is a way where you can do more generic messaging, I guess. More generic messaging to multiple people at the same time, quickly, easily, and cheaply. So it might be, I might say, as an example, hey, it's Sam here from ABC Real Estate. I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. And if you've got any plans or thoughts of selling in 2024, I'd love to hear from you. So you record that on your phone and then you drop that into a system and you have all your contacts in every system's different. But if I look at, say, Sly Broadcast, I make a recording, I drop that in the system, and then I have my database loaded in just phone numbers in one column on an Excel spreadsheet, and then I hit send. What happens to the end user is they get a missed call, and then they get a voice message. So their phone rings really briefly, and then they miss the call, and then they'll get the text message saying you've got a voice message, and then they'll go in and go, oh, okay, and then they'll listen to it. And I've just done 1,000 calls to my database around Christmas and selling in 2024. If I've got a clean database, in, I don't know, 5 minutes, call me lazy, I reckon it's smart.
I'm using it. So if anyone gets a call from me as a voice message in the new year, because I've taken on that advice, I think that's amazing. That does ring a bell, Sam, because I know an agent, won't name them, but they do it to share market updates.
Yep. Yes. So anything can wear it.
Yeah. So they have different categories for the different suburbs. So this row of phone numbers is for this suburb, and then they do a market update voice message, 30 seconds. This is what's been going on in the area this month, blah, 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 blah. And then they upload it and send it out. So that actually rings a bell. So you could use it even just as a way of adding value and a cut through.
Yeah, totally. Anything generic, right? So you're not going, hi, Ben. You're just going, hi, it's Sam from, and then whatever your generic message is.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. And have you seen have you got any feedback on results, like the impact it has for agents? Like did you do it as you're an agent, or was it more?
I was out of selling by the time that technology came around. I'm not that old, but some of these products evolve over time with different access to different technology. But certainly used it in recruitment now and then, and pushed it for our team of agents to be using if it was aligned to what they thought that might work for their clients or for themselves, really.
What was the name of the two tools? Just once more,
So there's one out of Australia called Tricall, Trycall, and then there's one out of the States called Sly Broadcast. The negative is that the missed call doesn't come from your phone number because it's coming from an external party. But still, they see that they've got a missed call and they go, oh, I've missed a call. And then they see that there's a voice message in there, obviously, depending on their provider and how they receive notifications for voice messages. And then they go in and listen. And I still think, although some people don't clear their voicemails, I still think that the percentage of people that go in and listen is relatively high. And when you're looking at the cost to roll these things out, 6 to 10 cents per call. If you think about the time it takes you to make generic calls or go and drop flyers, it's cheap. It's costing you money to go and do other things other ways.
Even if you had only 10% of the 1,000 listen to it, it's still something that you could do quarterly to your database. Something like that, Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, you might, like you said, you might not get as many people listening to those voice messages, but one thing you will get with text messages, moving on to that final one, is open rate. Typically, text message has a 98% open and read rate. So you get a lot of cut through with text messages. So that kind of leads us on to that last prospecting tool. Maybe I'll let you seeing as you've been kind of running out, I can do a bit of a demo after. But what kind of sparked your interest around that Nurture, the text message app? Why did you think it would be valuable?
You want me to sell your product for you? Let's do it. So I think there's been a theme that's come through this chat, and I didn't know that it was going to be a theme until we started talking and it became apparent. But it's around efficiency, and it's around, for me, I want to do the minimal amount to get the maximum return. And that's just in my makeup. I want to do as little as possible to get as much as possible. So the Nurture app, and again, my generation, my style, I'm not cold calling, I'm not in-person networking, I'm not door knocking, because that's not me. If the Nurture app was around when I started real estate, 100% I'd be jumping on, because text message, direct message, any of these sorts of things I'd be a fan of, because it's non-intrusive. It's not interrupting somebody's day. They can get to it when it suits them. There's a 98% chance, or I would suggest higher, people have lost their phones, the other 2%, and haven't opened. Everybody opens a text message. So it's effective, it's efficient and fast. The Nurture app is taking data from realestate.co.nz feeds, and it's feeding it into my portal, if you like, and it's telling me who in my database that I've uploaded to Nurture lives near somebody who has recently sold. So it's going, oh, you've got Janet Smith that lives 150 meters away from that sale that happened last month. The sale's not even mine. It's Ray White's sale. And I'm going, hey, Janet, I just want to let you know that 12 Johns Road sold for $495,000. That must be an Invercargill, I think. Sold for $495,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. So I'm going, and the best part about your app, Ben, the Nurture app, is, well, there's several. They don't have to be my sales. So if I'm a new agent or not the top agent, I still have access to send my database information about nearby sales. It can automate things, which is great, like the tri-call that we just spoke about. So I can have my my text message that I want to send to my database preloaded. I can have my radius preloaded. So house sells here. I want to say, I only want to contact people within 200 meters. So there we go. I've got a radius preloaded. I've got my database preloaded. I've got my message that goes to that person preloaded. And then it will just go, ping, you've got a match. So John Street was close to whatever her name was. And then I just fire that message off. And if it's something that I just do every week, and I just get my Nurture app and I just go bang, send, bang, send, bang, send, bang, send, it's potentially hundreds of contacts with my database that I wouldn't have otherwise had because it's too hard, too time consuming. And it's providing them with valuable information, which is I'm also a fan of, not just doing these calls or knocks or whatever just to be a clown and try and get email addresses, give them something of value, because if my house is in the same street or within a street that I know of just next door, I'm interested in the house value. So, like, I don't feel like I'm being rude or intrusive or salesy by letting them know. It's just something that they get. Bang, bang, bang. It's gold. And when you need to raise more money, let me know, and we'll come on in.
I've got a question here, actually, Sam, before I go, and it's from Kane, and he said one of the challenges that he has is he doesn't have the people's address. So, like, if you could take yourself back to when you were an agent, or if you were sitting down with some agents and they were saying, "Hey, Sam, how can I get more addresses? I get their number and their their name and their email, but what can I be saying? What's some dialogue that I could be saying that could easily allow me to also get their address? Whether that might be it might be an open home or open home callback or whatever that might be, or
So there's two parts to that, and I don't think it's bad that you're only getting a phone number, and it might just be, let's assume, from open homes or something, and you're just getting a phone number. I don't think that's bad. I think, and myself and my style, I'd feel rude or intrusive asking for more information, like face-to-face. You could always add it to your open home register, whether it's digital or physical, and they fill in that address, and you might capture some percentage of them. But I wouldn't see it as a drama. I would go, okay, I'm gathering a lot of phone numbers. This is cool. I either do things that works with that, like the tri-call or other ways of doing that, or I figure out a way of getting their address after the fact, because I'm really good at getting the phone numbers, and I don't want to add anything to my process or feel intrusive or whatever it is. So I would go, how am I going to get those? So I would, and I'm not a phone call guy, so I text message them and go, hey, I'm updating my database. I've got 2 questions for you. Are you a homeowner, yes or no? And what is the address of your home? Probably get a low uptake on that. So I think, okay, how can I get a higher uptake on that? Or I'm going to offer prizes or vouchers for people who ask a 2-question survey. So I'm going to text message them a link to a 2-question survey that will take them 30 seconds. And I'll offer up a local restaurant voucher or something as a carrot to fill it in. And I'll go maybe 2 $100 vouchers for people who answer this 30-second survey, and I'd fire it off to them via a link on a text message, because that's all I've got, or an email address, because that's all I've got. And I'd say, are you a homeowner, yes or no? What is your current address? Fill in here, submit. And then I might get 40% back. 60% might not reply. Well, I'll send another one out next month to all the people who didn't reply, offering a different voucher to another local service, keeping that whole network local and building goodwill with businesses in my community. I would probably take that action, and it's worth, if you think about it, Ben, the success of nurture and running that. It needs addresses. The success of maybe an annual equity checkup for these people that you're putting in letterboxes or something. You can't do that without knowing their address, all sorts of things. It's valuable to have their address. The other way would be just manually looking up Guru or Smarts for their name. But sometimes, you're at open home, you don't have a surname. So that might be time-consuming and ineffective as well. I would probably lean towards running something that's likely to get people to take 30 seconds out of their lives to give me valuable information, and wearing the cost of that.
I like the way you think, Sam. Like, just the what's the most efficient way of doing it? I think that 2-question survey with a local prize is such a smart way of doing that. So, Kane, maybe give that a go as well. That was a great question and some great insights there, Sam, as well. Just really quickly, I'm going to briefly, if you've got any questions to Sam, please fire them in the Q&A chat, because we'll round out this call in a few minutes. But while you're thinking of some questions to ask Sam, what I can quickly do is just kind of visually show what Sam spoke about in terms of the Nurture app. And Sam, I won't take up too much more of your time, but I'll just visually show them, and you feel free to jump in. But basically, as Sam said, Nurture shows relevant sales that are happening in your area, and then matches it up to the people in your database. So, for example, 20 or 21 New Place in Henderson, if I click on that recent sale, brought it up with that red dot. And now you can see the blue dots surrounding that are the people on my database who live within a 1 kilometer radius of the sale. So for example, Sheikah, she's 99 meters away from the sale, so very relevant to her, but I'd already sent her a text message about that sale. I can't send her a text message again. But for example, if I look at Gloria, now Gloria's 222 meters away from the sale. And so if I wanted to message her to notify her about the sale, all I would do is click send, and you can see it automatically creates the text message on my phone. You can see it says, hey, Gloria, I thought you might be interested to know that 21 Newman Place, 3-bedroom home nearby to you, has just recently sold for 703. I always like to put like, hey, I know you're not looking to sell, but it's always nice to know what's selling around you. If you'd like more information on the sale, just let me know. Right. And then I can edit that text message and put in, house, family or whatever as well. But then I can hit send, and I can send it directly from my phone number, or I could call them directly as well. So there's a couple of options there for agents. And then all I need to do is go back to the app. If I sent it, I click yes, it's sent. And it's as simple as that in terms of how it actually works. And yeah, just like Sam said, highlighted before, that theme today really has turned out to be around efficiency. And it's just allowing you to be more efficient, have more touch points with the people on your database. Sam also mentioned you can adjust the radius, so you can change it from 1 kilometer maybe down to 600 meters, and then your template text message there as well, where you can adjust your text message template to your own tone and voice, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's really in a nutshell how it works. We've kept it really simple and simple to use. And if you've got any questions, also just drop them in the Q&A chat. Another cool thing which we recently added was you can add your own sale. So perhaps something sells at auction and you don't want to wait for it to hit realestate.co.nz. You can upload the sale manually yourself, and it's going to stay within your own profile. So you might say, hey, I sold 15th Sorting Place in Timaru. You find it on the map, you hit save, and when you hit save, it's going to automatically find everyone on your database who lives within a close proximity to their sale. And the person who lives there is myself, bang on that spot. So you can't even see the blue dot because it's the same. But that's in a nutshell how it works. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Is there anything else, Sam? Hopefully I covered everything. Yeah, we've got a few agents already open.
I think the beauty of that, Ben, is any good CRM should have a similar service that's automated, but it's only for your own database. So our guys, they sell something in a suburb or on a street, they can choose for automated communication to go out to the people in their database on that street or in that suburb, and they can pre-select the same sort of things and it can fire out. But that's only a small percentage of the total market. So having your whole database and every sale in the area where you can do it is valuable.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Sam. I really appreciate it. And everyone wants to know, does it actually get results? Like, am I going to get a return on the time that I spent? And so a couple of cool things is that as we continue to grow and bring more and more users on, the more feedback I get. And so we're getting top agents. A couple of examples here: John Fulton and Harcourts in Christchurch, and Marie Sherry, also our Harcourts in Christchurch, have got, are getting listings and are sending it to me. So I always love to show that off. So we're getting great feedback. And also the awesome thing is we've got other top agents across New Zealand who are being able to be ambassadors and kind of sit behind our nurture tool, and they're getting opportunities and listings from it as well. So it's always great to have well-known agents having great successes from using nurture. So if you'd like to give that a trial, if that makes sense, feel free to sign up for a free 30-day trial on our website. I'll send out an email to everyone on this webinar so they can sign up. I know there are people already on this webinar who are already using it, which is awesome, but there will be people who might not have tried it, so you can give it a trial for 30 days completely free. And if you like it, you can carry on. Otherwise, that's it. And so pricing's very nice. So that's really, in a nutshell, that for today. Before we wrap it up, there's no other questions come through, Sam. So no one obviously wants to ask you anything else. But if there's one thing, you could leave on here with today, what's one piece of advice, one tool or strategy, like just, you leave with them before we finish up?
My single most important thing would be do something, take action on something. So don't get overwhelmed on, so many things and I don't know how to do any of those things and ChatGPT and Google and all this sort of stuff. Just do something, Don't waste an hour on here or half an hour or however long it is to hear all this stuff, get all pumped up and then just go away and do nothing. Just pick one thing and go and do it. For me, it would be creating a strong point of difference, but that's just me. I'm not you. Just go away and take action on something. People go to these conferences and motivational things and they come away all pumped up and then it just fades away over time. And did they actually do anything, or was it a big fat waste of time? So I'd say just do something.
Do something. Take action. 100%. It's probably the biggest thing I've found working with agents is that the top 10% are the ones who are most disciplined and make action things, and others don't action and don't and don't follow through with what their good intentions are. So yeah, it's a good piece of advice there. And so yeah, thanks so much, Sam, for your time today. I hope everybody got a heap of value out of it. I'll send out the recording as well as a link to Nurture. But yeah, thanks so much, Sam. Great to have you on in 3.5 years later.
You're welcome, mate. And any high performers out there that would be interested in creating your own brand easily, quickly, effectively, with low risk, we create brands, launch them, and run them for them as a full service real estate agency. All you need to do is pick yourself up from where you are and put yourself down in your own agency, earn high commission splits, have your own freedom to do whatever you want to do. And we make it easy by running the thing for you, creating the thing for you, and helping you to launch that. So if there's any high performers out there, we'd love to have a chat and intro you to our service.
Cool. And how's the best way to get in touch with you, Sam?
www.ownly.nz, OWN, but only.nz.
Awesome. I think I can see there are some high performers on this call. I think some of them are already with Only as well. But hopefully, if there's any that's not already with Only, get in touch with Sam and have a conversation.
One last thing, Ben, I would say, I always spot trends and opportunities early and jump on them, and they have served me very well. For example, jumping on Rate My Agent early. A whole bunch of my agents at my previous agency were top agent in their area, in their region. We won Agency of the Year and all those sorts of things, which we could all leverage as individuals and as companies. Nurture is one of these things. To jump on that early and use it before other people are using it, it's an opportunity in your area to be the only or the first or one of very few in your area to create it and do it. I think it's a good opportunity. I've spotted that gap and then jump on that.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thanks for the plug. But yeah, awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you again, Sam. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll talk again soon.